Good evening, everybody. It's not the best day for me today. I was actually feeling really sick. I feel a little bit better after eating something, which is weird because it's actually been my stomach that's bothering me all day. But I'm wondering if I just hit a certain point where not having anything was making things worse. Anyways, um, we are here. We are ready to go. I'm going to take a quick minute just to, make sure all of the quality options are present and such, and we will be back to Phantom Brigade. Also, it's nice to see you all again. I obviously have had some time away, given that Friday was Good Friday, and then Monday was Easter Monday, so it's actually been a full week since we last streamed, and we're right back where we started. Sorry, I've also apparently been playing too many games because Phantom Brigade's not immediately accessible. Seizure warning. A very small percentage of people may experience a seizure when exposed to certain visual images, including flashing lights or visual patterns. These seizures have a variety of symptoms, including lightheadedness, altered vision, eye or face twitching, jerking or shaking of arms or legs, disorientation, confusion, or momentary loss of awareness. Immediately stop playing and consult a doctor if you experience any of these symptoms. If you or your relatives have a history of seizures or epilepsy, it is recommended that you consult a doctor before playing. Here we go. So, I definitely like the fact that it is viable to use a shield-only squad as an option, and we will keep a save for the pinball platoon. But I do feel like, I guess this is the right one. But yeah, I definitely feel like we need to get serious about the game again. So we've got, so our team is at full strength. I have a few options available to me right now. So there's the revealed location. Now we've already checked out the cache, so I don't think there's anything else for us to do at this point. I could, follow through and, hang on, liberate this facility to unlock. Yeah, so I'm assuming that's what this little icon means, that this is the rest and repair area. But I'm thinking of here, probably it's not a bad idea to contest the province, and then if we can, we crash into the repair convoy. It looks like they're heading to the outpost. And then we can probably just munch on some camps and outposts in fairly rapid succession. So, yeah, I don't see any reason not to contest. Alright, into the fray. The base comes alive with the sound of boots crashing against the floor. In the hangar, an engineer shouts his instructions to the crew, and a pilot rushes to get changed. You keep your eyes trained on the battle console, settling yourself with a deep breath. I don't recall if we went over our... Whoa! Yeah, this definitely isn't the right save. This is still the pinball squad. There we go. Okay, so same deal. Just I think Yeah, we still have our old loadout. Okay, so we are going to do a quick look at our units. Now, if I recall correctly, we've been working with this hypothesis that 28 is the fastest I can move a mech. So what I'm eventually going to start doing is, I don't want to like sit down and fully respec the Herald, but what I do want to start doing is working out kind of the trade-off of how close I can get to 28. So like if I have 27, let's say like 27's my lower bound. If I get a chance to, you know, put some extra integrity on the Herald, and in exchange what I get is, you know, some more damage. Sorry, if I move down to 27 and some fraction, and I get a large amount of integrity, or I get a significant amount of damage, that's a deal that I want to take. Right now I've kind of been building towards maximizing speed, but I think in this case I have a lot of unused speed as a result of this now. So, I don't think there's anything for me to change weapon-wise. The rest of this is kind of extreme. Doesn't hurt to take a look and see if there's anything else that I can equip sidearm-wise. And it turns out hollow plate's no longer the best, so light plate is actually even lighter. But of course in this case here I don't want to be lowering my integrity for weight, I actually want to go the other way around. So actually in theory I could put something like the regenerator on it, although that's maybe not quite what I want. So one thing I could do here, right, is take a look. I've got this Nox 1L. Now the drawback here is that the power goes down. Funny thing is, it's actually lighter with lower heat dissipation, but the problem here is the lower integrity. So that's an example of a trade-off that I wouldn't want. The other challenge with some of these is that I've got the overdrive core on. So for instance, when I look at something like this Aero 1L, a large part of this difference is the fact that I've got a charger reactor on it. And I sort of want to discount the difference accordingly. As it is, this one's got, my Elbrus right now has got 696 in terms of its integrity, so that's also a significant reduction in terms of my sort of survivability. So this is not a bad example of one that I would consider, right? So we've got a Nox 2M, it's a nice, you know, rare torso, definitely heavier on the mass. Interestingly enough, it's got lower power. I'm assuming that's because of the reach thruster. And yeah, the big problem here is that this moves it down to 25. So yeah, I'm willing to go down to 27, might even be willing to go down to 26 in some cases. In this case, 25, going down those 3 points seems to be a bit extreme in the other way. Similar story here, right? We've got the hot rod now. You know, it's a sidestep, so it's probably a lower power draw. But I don't want to spend too much time meditating on it. This Nox 2M's not a bad example as well, although you'll notice it's effectively 26 and it's already got the overdrive reactor on it. So I think the lesson we're going to draw from this is right now, this is as good as I'm going to get. So yeah, here's a good example, right? You know, the lower heat better heat dissipation's not bad. Giving up the meteor legs though doesn't quite work for me. This Elbrus would be attractive except for the fact that these are heavy Nox legs, so I have a feeling that most of my options here. Yeah, so basically I can put on the Asgard for even better heat dissipation. I mean, it's tempting, right? Yes. I see what's happening here. I'm willing to guess if I put hydraulics on this one, I'd probably get it equivalent to the Asgard. Well, I don't have a Mark II, so... put a generator Mark I on it. Oh, did I I think I unintentionally just put different legs from what I wanted on them. Okay, so the hydraulics don't do anything for me here. So that's an 809. Next lowest I could get would be this knocks heavy. So if I put it down to a generator, we're down to 27. If I give a weight reduction, yeah, so it has to be the hydraulics. Okay, so what's the story with these guys? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do better than these right now. So most of these, I'm actually quite surprised at how heavily these arms push me away. I think it kind of makes sense because, like, it's an 8.1, so everything else is effectively doubling the weight. But that is going to be a challenge to deal with in the future, I think. Oh yeah, both of them have got light plate, actually. So maybe what I want to do... So right now we've got an... excuse me, an Arrow 1L. So if I were to pull this light plate off of it, yeah, I already lose 2. That's fine. Let's throw a regenerator on just for the sake of argument. Is there anything that looks similar? This is about as close as I get in terms of similarity. So this is a 3H. This is a heavy. Interesting. Okay. I want to try and make that up. Like, I want to get back to 28 if I can, but... Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait on that at this point. Unless I want to go to light plate. Wait, how did I get down to 26? Oh, right. Now, whether or not that makes a lot of sense to do to my center torso is another question, but if I can, I want to try and find a little more balance between my parts. Okay, I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not super convinced that the Herald is in better shape than when I originally found it. But I'm gonna work with that. Now I've got my choice of Vulcan. The extended magazine is a really big deal for this one. So I'm going to need a pretty significant advantage. Yeah, neither of these are effective, so I should probably scrap them. But it will be kind of fun. Maybe one of my other challenges can be to deploy a squad full of Vulcan holders. Okay, so as usual, this one actually winds up being very straightforward in terms of its... Now this interests me, right? You would look at this and say, okay, you know, lower mass, why doesn't this one work? And it's because of the reach thruster on it. But yeah, the overriding priority for this unit is to keep its speed up. And one of the drawbacks here is that there's a little bit that we can do to try and make the numbers work, but I think 20 is about as good as we're gonna get. We've already given it the light arms. We're already putting like arrow lights on it. It makes it a very fragile target, which I'm not crazy about, but we also protect it reasonably well. Okay, so the longbow I may need to consider the ideal weapon. So we do have the railgun repeater, which actually does have higher kinetic damage. Currently using the Sharp, which I believe has... Nope, my bad. I thought for some reason it had a bonus to concussive, but it does not. We've got the Dice Sniper Rifle, which really... Well, I should actually see what that impact damage is, so let me just double check. MR2 Sharp. Damage to structures, right. Where'd my marksman go? So I can do more damage with the baseline, and also do some damage to the buildings, but that's not quite what I want here. As for sniper, so under some circumstances I would say the railgun repeater is attractive, but in this case it's more of a shotgun. As for snipers, they are longer range. The question is, do they get me anything? Right now, no. This dice is actually not that impressive of a weapon. So I think I'm gonna just have to stick with my Sharp. As always, we want to see if we can do more with a sidearm. So right now, the SMG, the tactical, gives me a little bit more concussive. But the thing is, this is a sidearm. This is kind of for emergency use. So when I take a look at something like the Blast, especially the fact that it has lighter weight, it strikes me as a more appropriate sidearm. So. That also gives me some flexibility in terms of the different torsos that I equip. So similar to the, in fact, more so than the, words fail me. More so than the Herald, this is one I can afford to go lower than 28. This one has actually been giving my run and gun unit kind of a run for its money. Okay, so legs, I noticed that we can get quite a bit integrity-wise. So 440. Okay, actually, this is a false friend here. So notice that my total defensibility with these arrow legs is 440. When I put the Nox legs on, I get a total of 415. I do get a little more mass back and heat dissipation, but it's going to be something I want to keep an eye on. This one's definitely quite tempting. But so are these Asgard legs. So this is about as far as I would want to go. Actually, this is tempting because of the precision sensor. Not much else weight-wise we can do there. But there are a couple that will turn back into 28. Not quite enough. We'll give it the weight reduction. I feel like there should be a way that I can sort of wrangle this to work, but the precision strike on the arm is definitely a good one. Okay, it's a bit of a weird build, but I'm happy to live with that. And the protector. So protector priority number 1, of course, is to absorb all the damage, but where we can, we also want to give it some speed. As you've noticed, I definitely have a strong tendency towards speed over alternatives. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think we've been delivering on the concussive damage lately. So my big dilemma with the protector is whether or not I go for a more aggressive machine gun. There's also an argument for me to go for a different weapon entirely. The Alpenglow is probably not appropriate here because it's just heat damage. I mean, if I really wanted to think outside the box, I could probably give it a melee weapon, but I don't think that's quite the way to go. I'm gonna stick with the machine gun for now, but I am gonna keep a careful eye on how it all performs. Looks like this arm performs better. We can automatically make this perform better by giving it light plate, but this one I definitely want to keep a bit more protected, so unless I've got 524 with a better I don't think we have a better shield, but I should probably double check that. This firewall's darn close. Darn close doesn't quite cut it though, so we'll stay with the protector as is. I really should be cleaning out some of the parts here. It is starting to get cluttered. We'll maybe save this for after we liberate the province. And Olaf, it is wonderful to see you. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you're feeling better than I am today, but I also hope you had a nice Easter. Okay, so the enemy's got a Vulcan of their own, it looks like. Commander, the base is circled around the perimeter. We're ready to pick up the squad if needed. The enemy will hold the site if you do so. Rebel units in range. Engaging. Requesting backup. So first step's going to be to see what we're up against and how the turn's going to play out. Got a shotgun. Okay, the missile launcher is far away. That's going to cause us some trouble. And the tanks, it's just an autocannon, so... Okay, so that's inconvenient for us, that we've got sort of the two Vulcans firing on each other. Now, I could do something similar to what I tried last time, right? We've got sort of the marksman available here. So you do something like so. Oh. Helps if I look at what I'm... Now this actually has a problem too. So first step is to get in an optimal range. So in fact, the earlier we can start the shot on the enemy, the better. So then the next thing I would want to do is try and get in range for the marksman as quickly as possible. Okay, I'm seeing possibilities here. So the only other thing I could bring to bear would be... Oh man, that's tempting actually. So maybe we start with like Hail Mary shots on the enemy unit, and then it's like that would be basically be the strategy if I wanted if I wanted maximum pressure on. So the idea here is that this is basically to try and kill the Vulcan before it kills me. So the tricky part to this is that it's got 500 torso, and the left arm has about the same. Right arm's about 300. So the question I have here is like, so first of all, the thing that I'm doing is I'm risking a very valuable unit, and I'm also focusing my entire squad on one enemy when I potentially have other alternatives available to me. So it's not going to be one that I pick up. In fact, the Vulcan's going to be kind of useless this turn. But I'd rather it be safe, so I think I'll live with a little heat damage. It's not like we're going to do any shots anyway. Yeah, I think we'll give it some time. But this doesn't mean that I don't want to do the other things that I had set up. So in this case here, I think being able to set up some shots with the longbow. Well, I'd like to be early if I can with the longbow shots. If I can, I'll get more than one. And thank you, Olaf. Things could be better for me in general right now, if I'm completely honest. But I certainly don't have anything really to complain about, other than, you know, I think inevitably whenever you have something like a holiday, it always feels too short. I'm wondering if there's some wisdom in... Yeah, I mean, it's not my safest choice by any stretch of the imagination, but I do kind of like the idea of the friendly fire here. Also, I'm outside of the effective range, so if I am going to take damage off of this, it's not catastrophic. I'm going to take a little bit of heat damage off of that, but I think I can live with it. And we will move... I'm going to dash my machine gunner up. If I can get them in play with the... hang on. Yeah, this is the unit with the missile. If I can get them in play with the machine gun sooner rather than later... Well, hang on. They actually don't have that much to do. So my bigger worry, in fact, is avoiding friendly fire. Yeah, so I feel like there's got to be a better way to approach this. Well, maybe we just skip I'm probably going to wind up hit by the rocket, but we'll mess with the enemy lines for a bit. Spend the time modifying you, and we still get a miss. So that shotgun almost took out their arm. That's great. Yeah, so that gamble with my unit here paid off. Now what I want to do at this point, so this tank's already crashing, but I've got missiles on their way after me. So I'm going to do is take advantage of the confusion and try to dash out of the problem. I'm wondering if I can dash up. I mean, I may get hit as a result. But I feel like it's worth trying. Or maybe not. The question is, can I deliver? I can get close. So here's what we're gonna do. I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing my Herald thing, right? That I'm zipping around the battlefield, avoiding trouble. In fact, I wonder if I can just make a daring escape, not without overheating. So I'll be a little more precise in pointing at where I want to go. So one small argument for a different movement path would be something like this to see if I can target the tank. I think for the most part, any range where that move kind of works isn't really viable. There's also another big asset that I have, so I kind of turn my back like this, and then if I sort of make a hard turn like so, it's even less likely that I'm going to get hit by the shots. Although, the real hope here is that I'm still able to participate in the fight. Okay. Let's think about what I want to do with the longbow. This unit's going to be firing missiles at me. So with that in mind, I suppose the most logical move for the longbow would be to fire on its antagonist. Ooh, I don't like those numbers though. Okay. It's pretty brazen, but does this thing have a minimum range? No, it doesn't. Okay, so Yeah, so this unit's not going to be here. I'm not that worried by it. Like at this point I just gotta hug the hill. Okay, let's try and get, if I can get the Vulcan in quick, that's a big bonus for me. I don't like this at all, but I feel like I gotta do something with it, so I also, I don't think it would hurt to see how effective this thing is, given its own devices. So, we're back to the original question, what do I do with my... Right, so we're dodging missiles here. Now if I just went for a second jump, the real problem here is heat. Maybe we just say that's not a problem right now. I want to see how much I can get away with doing this. Okay, movement doesn't work. All right, it's a pretty reckless turn, if I'm completely honest, but I want to see how it works. Biggest problem here is we're not doing that much to punish this shotgunner. Actually, maybe that's an argument for a different approach then. Yeah, and that actually completely transforms how I'm going to do this turn. Because in the end, the effort was to try and put some pressure on, like on this unit. Although maybe we still try that. Just without kissing our unit. Okay, so the drawback here is going to be this autocannon. The autocannon does 482 damage on a single shot. So it could theoretically take out my shield arm, but I think that's the least likely outcome. And it's a risk I'm willing to take on because ultimately it's going to be blocked for a lot of its attacks anyway. So yeah, let's see how this revised turn works out. So the missiles aren't doing anything to us. One small drawback is that we're not taking objectives. I think I'm just going to have to live with that. So that unit's out of the picture, I think. Nope, they still have the handgun, so they may still want to party. We are doing virtually nothing to this guy. Took out a shield, but it's definitely not, it's not the sort of thing that you want to see after you commit a Vulcan to an enemy. Okay, let's reevaluate where we are. Okay, so there's not a clear... There isn't a clear decision with this unit yet. They're just running. The shotgunner's moving out. Actually, it looks like a lot of units are just sort of staying put, which is interesting. I'm gonna try dashing this unit. Nope, nope. I want to get them in play as quickly as possible. This is going to be concussive to the back. Okay, this unit's coming after the Vulcan. This is one we want to protect pretty much at any cost. I guess the bit of good news is that we can point them at the unit with a handgun. So in this case, we're just going to poke out the side, sort of snipe at them for a little bit, and then run off. I might even run to an objective. Yeah. So I believe there are still rockets coming after the no, hang on, there won't be rockets coming after the sniper because the rocket launcher got destroyed. So that puts my marksman unit in a good spot. I wish the range on that was a little different, but it's still the best option I've got here. Okay, let's see how this turn turns out. Drone is a rough location of the crate, but we're going to need another ping to ensure that it's picked up. Stay at this location to finish this. I should take a quick look and see what my sniper wound up doing that turn. Beautiful. This thing wound up crashing, but it's not out of the game yet. Okay, so they're still firing away with their sidearm. This tank is surrendering. That unit's still crashing. They're not like out of it though. So I'm gonna want to keep that in mind. Oh, that's mean. I'm gonna have to crash into the enemy mech if I want to move. Alright, I've got absolutely nothing to fear from either of these units, so I'll have my fun. I'll just move back to optimal range and leave it there. Yeah, I mean, I don't want too many more wasted turns because we do have enemy reinforcements arriving, but I think this should be enough. So unless this unit ejects, we're good. Or sorry, unless this unit doesn't eject, we're good. Alright, crate is locked on, our drone is the quartz and should be descending any second now. And sure enough, this unit does want its revenge. I thought the problem was I was too close. It's actually I'm too far. And we got the crates. So, nice start to the day. Now, I think I've talked about this before, but I don't know how often I make it explicit. I like the fact that you can get battery and liquid fix from enemy convoys. So this basically stops me from spending a lot of time in sort of home territory. So I'm gonna start taking out targets like that a bit more often. We'll do our usual routine of grabbing the colored items first, and then where I can, the high value scrap. Okay, so one thing that I might want to do, there's a couple options that I have. One is I can acknowledge that there's going to be units coming after me and make myself scarce, or I cruise for a little bit, repair the 10% that I need on... Is that the Herald, really? Fair enough. And then go straight after the outpost. I think I am going to go... I'm going to go aggressive on the outpost, but I need to make sure that I time it just so. Probably could have closed the gap a little bit more, but there we go. Into the fray! The base comes alive with the sound of boots crashing against the floor. In the hangar, an engineer shouts his instructions to the crew, and a pilot rushes to get changed. You keep your eyes trained on the battle console, settling yourself with a deep breath. So the objective here is going to be to take as many of these bases in short succession as I can, because ultimately this is going to free me up to free some home guard units when those come up. Or better still, we just take the province early. That's always a possibility. So, same story about reinforcements. We've been pretty good at taking out enemy units without worrying about the reinforcements, but it's something we always want to keep in mind. The game's estimation is that this will be a hard mission for us. Don't want to spend too much time on the new parts, but I didn't take a close look at what we got. So the 25 might be interesting, but it's just a good old-fashioned Nox. We're familiar with that. What happens if I put holoplate on? Bad things. I am intrigued by the weight reduction Mark 1. I'm wondering if this VDAR got the hydraulics. Not quite. Oh no, this is interesting. So why did I put light and then hollow plate on this? So what happens if I do hollow plate here? Because this one's too heavy. Right, so this heavy arm right now gets me 167. Alright, so this is a 306. So overall this is better. How much you want to bet if I stick a hollow plate on that? Yep. So does that give me the Vidar legs that I needed? Needed. Wanted. It does. So, what am I getting for protection off of this arm? Right now we're at 274.58. Really do it, does it? I think that's as good as we're gonna get it. I might be able to shave off a little bit of mass on the left arm, but I'm reasonably content with this, though. Okay, Manticore is next up. Now, I'm not exactly looking to be replacing this Vulcan, but it's important to remember that even though it's rare, it's still a level 3 one. So if you take a look here, for instance, this is if my primary goal was to maximize damage, this is now actually attractive for me to equip. The problem is that it gives up the concussive damage as well. So we're gonna keep it. I do, however, now have my fourth Vulcan, which will enable me to do ridiculous things if I so wish. I suspect this Tsubasa may have an advantage if I stick an overdrive on it, but I don't think I have an amplified reactor for comparison, and I am a little worried about such a dramatic drop in the integrity of the mech. I think it's more or less same as it ever was for this mech. There's some possibilities for sure, but they're not. I don't feel like they're quite where they need to be to maintain the speed that I'm looking for. Definitely doesn't hurt to look, though. Okay, so now the hand-me-downs. Again, I'm not expecting too much for the marksman, but you can be surprised. Yeah, so I think I'm okay keeping the heavy arm on that one. I didn't really have a conclusive choice as far as the machine gun was concerned, so I think we're still going to work with that. We are getting a number of shields now, so it wouldn't hurt for me to take a peek at my alternatives. Okay. Thinking none of this is really going to do the trick. That's a big beefy chest, and like there's definitely ways that I can boost the speed, but I don't want to boost the speed at the cost of protection for my unit that's supposed to draw fire. It's also important to remember, like 18 is still not bad. And yeah, for the rest of this, we just wind up with trade-offs that we don't really like. Here we go. Commander, the base is circled around the perimeter. We're ready to pick the squad up if needed. The enemy will hold the site if you do so. And rebel unit sighted, requesting immediate reinforcements. Let's make this quick. So we're definitely going to have an easier time if we clear out the bad guys quickly. Oh, interesting. So it's 4 turns, or we destroy the alarm tower. I mean, that's not impossible for us. Unless this is the targeted alarm tower. Are you kidding me? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm in a good spot for this. Yeah, I don't quite like the angle there. I'm really curious if we can achieve the objective doing this. I don't think I'm endangering the unit, so at this point this is worth it just for the experiment, frankly. So I'd love to run in the middle like this, but we're getting near the end of the turn, so I'm going to stay on the perimeter. Of course, if I can harass, so much the better. Okay, so with this marksman, this may actually be a danger. Okay. So yeah, I definitely need to make sure that I'm using the turn well, because there will potentially be consequences next turn, but this thing, it's not a jaw-dropping range, but my long-range unit is definitely closer than I would want them to be, so we're gonna run off for a little bit. Okay, so unfortunately the longbow and the herald are not in a compatible position. That doesn't work. Alright, let's see if we can still make this happen. It's a little later than I would want, but the big guy's just gonna lumber along like they always do. I suppose the one advantage is that they are able to hop up on hills and then hop down again. Yeah, we're definitely in good shape for the follow-up. All right, let's see how this all goes. Perhaps I should have been trying to target this unit. Oh, man. So, that's not the primary weapon. That's still a pretty good showing for the start. Okay, so we haven't quite finished the building, it seems. Mind you, we may not have to. So, shotgunners immediately taking revenge on the longbow. That's not entirely unexpected. Fortunately, though, they're not really able to do anything to them. So I'm going to wait it out a little bit. And I think we just move up and get another shot on the unit. Now, I do need to be careful of the turret because I am in the danger zone. But I can definitely be a bit of a jerk and like take shots in the back. The catch is I really need to make sure I'm out of range in time. So even though I wind up in a less than optimal position. Ooh. You know what? I'm just gonna live with it and dash away. Okay. Now, I do have a couple of decisions to make here. It doesn't seem like anybody's targeting the unit with a machine gun, which is good. In fact, what I'll maybe do... Yeah, that's 100% right there, so... why would I change such a good formula? Not just flowers. There's a lot of stuff that looks really great in UV photography. But yes, to Veriosity, I agree completely. Is this a recent interest that you've developed, or have you do you like looking at different? So there's a few. There's God, was it? There's UV. There's actually one that I like to try. Maybe they call it red scale. Anyways, what I would do is like I would find whatever, you know, affordable Kodak. Like you don't get the premium stuff for this because you're doing weird stuff. But I would take the color film, and you actually need 2 rolls of film for this. But basically, what I'd do is I would take some tape. I had to let the lab know that I was doing this, but like as long as you put the tape close enough to the end, like you're not going to gum up their machines or anything. The thing you want to do is just make sure you don't have some idiot that's running the machine and like do something unusual or you know, like wind up in a situation where you're putting foreign objects into the machine. But like basically you take the existing, let's say you buy like a new roll of film and you stick it back together, but so first of all, you know, like when you get a roll of film, like there's that kind of little curved bit to like put the it's like a little flap that you put inside the like this catch to roll it in. So you snip that off, so you get a nice straight line, and then you take an old roll of film. And I mean, if you don't have one, then you just buy, again, the least expensive film that you can find. Either shoot the roll or just pull it out and snip it off at the end so that you have enough space to be able to tape it together, but not much else. And again, you snip off the end of the roll that you want to shoot, nice straight line. And then you tape it back, but you don't have the light-sensitive part facing the same way. You have the light sensitive part facing the kind of that shiny black side. And then essentially what you do, there's probably a way where you can like really line up the two mouths of the rolls so that they don't get exposed to light. But the best thing that you can do at that point is once you've lined up everything the way that you want it, you like run into almost every bathroom I've ever been in has been like completely isolated from light. So that's where I normally did. But, or, you know, a closet, any room basically that's not going to be exposed to light. And then in the dark, you just roll up, you transfer the film from one canister to another one. And then when you get out, you snip off the end again. And which bathrooms do I usually frequent? Like every house I've been in. So there was one home, like this is when I was growing up, where my parents put in like a skylight. That was the one room, that was the one bathroom in the places I've lived. Well, I guess there might have been some places where I lived and like didn't have a really clear memory of it. I'm sure any like growing up maybe. But like every apartment that I've lived in, the bathrooms have never had like a window. Which I realize is weird, right? Because like when I go to like a friend's place or something like that, usually there is some kind of a window. In fact, my favorite was there was a bathroom which had a very small window, but it was about waist height. So if you would stand up, like to go to the bathroom, like I don't exactly know what they were thinking, but. Anyways, yeah, so in any case, whatever darkened room you have in your also hello, Vanguard Master, I hope you had a good, first of all, I hope you had a long weekend, but number two, I hope you, well, one, you had a good, I hope you had a long weekend. Two, I hope you had a good long weekend. And three, I hope now that we have a couple of days of the week in front of us, that you are making good progress. They don't exist for folks like you. Fair enough. Got your Sigma male grind set going on. I don't know. It's always a tough one. Like, I'm not in a position to speak as a creative professional. I'm lucky enough that I'm able to sort of support myself through a day job to do any creative stuff that I have. But I'm starting to divest myself of sort of my Protestant work ethic and attendant self-hatred, as a very kind email someone sent me put it. I've kind of started to, it's actually, I guess this gets to the point why I took like the Monday and the Friday off, is I do know that if I don't take that time off, there's like the feeling of burnout, which I know, that's a pretty standard concern that people have. But more importantly, I tend to find it's also the way that like every time I've had that thought of like, oh, I don't have any ideas or something like that, normally it's kind of followed that that period where I overdo it and I'm sort of flogging myself to really keep at it, and like sometimes it's a hard one, right? If you want to try and give an account of your productivity, like going for a walk is a really hard one to justify. Like if somebody's sitting down with a ledger, like nobody's really going to sit down and say going for a walk is a way of making things better and more productive. But that's absolutely the thing that that can sometimes help out. Anyways, make sure you don't need me to tell you how to run everything. I do. I'm glad that it's turning out for you, but do give yourself at least a bit of time to relax. Anyway, sorry, I was talking about talking way too long about it, but so long story short, what you do is basically through that process you wind up with the light sensitive side of the film. Oh yeah, there's one more step where you kind of need to cut out that little curved area to put it back into the camera, but that's not that hard to do. But yeah, like the ultimate effect that this is that when you put the film through the camera, you have the usual light sensitive side, the like very lightly sticky sort of brown light sensitive side, which is normally facing where the lens is. That's actually facing the back of the camera. And the shiny black side is what's exposed to the outside world. Now, the trick here is that back exists basically to kind of stop the light from bouncing off the back of the film or the back of the camera and like get back to the light sensitive areas. But it's not like a curtain. So if you take a normal exposure, it's probably going to be like 2 or 3 stops underexposed. And maybe that's the effect that you want, but basically if you go and take a normal shot with that, what you're doing is you are sort of forcing the light through that, that layer that's not supposed... I mean, it's almost like shooting with a neutral density filter, if you're, if I'm completely honest. But what's really interesting about it is the light is going through the layers of the film in reverse. So like for those of you that don't know about sort of color film, there's multiple layers in terms of the different sensitivities. And the overall effect, like for the areas that are exposed to a little bit of light, first of all, like everything's that much darker because again, you're trying to force it through this really like this material that's not intended to be exposed to light. But once you do that, once you get it through, the lower exposure areas are sort of very red. And then as you increase the light intensity, it kind of gets closer to an orange until eventually you get a white. But you get this really interesting effect for it. And again, it's not the same as like infrared photography or any of the other, or I guess you were talking about UV. But anyways, it's not a special film that's detecting something outside of the visible spectrum, but it can produce this really interesting effect. I remember I was going out and actually just did a whole bunch of clouds because I thought they were like really textured, and obviously the sun's going to be doing stuff to them because it was during the day. And I remember like one of my friends looked at it and she's like, "Oh God, that looks like Armageddon. Where were you?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just like 2 blocks up." And I just kind of pointed out a couple of it was like almost like, I don't think there were cell phone towers. I think they might have actually been TV stations, but I just took the arrays for the broadcasting and all of that. So there's still some fun stuff that you can do with physics. Like, I guess we're at the point now because digital stuff is so straightforward to do, and like it's what probably people should be focusing on. But you can actually sometimes, it's a little bit like musicians who like to mess around with analog synthesizers. Like there is sometimes the fact that guitarists, right? It's like when you're playing a guitar, to a certain extent, the guitar fights back, and it can lead to a very different kind of a sound than when you have complete control over the thing that you're using. And I think to a certain extent, you can do the same with photography. Anyways, sorry for those of you who don't care about this stuff. We will go back to your regularly scheduled Phantom Brigade. So I do want to try and blow this building up. I'm off by a little bit. I really do not have any hopes of doing damage to this unit, but let's see how it goes. So it actually looks like we did wind up... Oh, dropping in, command's getting impatient. Let's get this over and done with. That can't be right. Yeah, so it turns out we didn't actually need to target that. So those missiles may still be a problem for the Herald. Alright, so that pilot's concussed. This thing's stuck in place. This thing isn't. I don't think this tank's gonna survive. It might. This is not my favorite choice, but given how close this shotgun is, I think it's pretty important for me to get out of the danger zone. Maybe we'll munch on some tanks instead. Okay, for the Herald, I think we're going to do another dash just for security. Yeah, these turrets are... Okay, so I don't actually have that option. So what I'm going to do instead is just set myself up. So again, this isn't my first choice, but I've sort of committed myself by getting on the other side of these turrets. I didn't really think that through. Okay. I'm actually not opposed to moving this unit, given that if I can, I'd like to preserve the torso. This is probably not the unit for me to fire on. This is probably the wrong place to go, but... Alright. God, that looks good. Also, there's a hole in the world, but... Okay, so this unit's crashing, but they're not done with us yet. I don't think there's any consequence for these reserve reinforcements, but now this couldn't possibly be worse. Well, okay, there's one thing I can do. This is intended to take some fire, so I can set myself up like so. Okay, can I... No, I can't. I have no idea if this is helping or not. I believe, Vanguard Master, that is actually the premise behind, like, the original idea that inspired Into the Breach. Don't worry, everyone. Everything is bone. That's a old person movie reference for my demographic. Unbelievable. We're gonna get hit by those, yeah, so I don't see any reinforcements on the field, which is good. I am a little annoyed that my... I'm a little annoyed that my, my Herald got tripped up like that, but... It's a very straightforward pattern for handling this guy at this point, so we just want to do as much damage to the back as we can, and hopefully put as much on the shield as we can. All right, so we got some battery, target sensor for workshop charge, and we pretty much destroyed all the useful stuff, so I don't expect we're going to be able to walk away with everything, but let's add the marksman rifle. That might be an upgrade. Okay, we can take one more. I don't think a 797 kinetic is worth it on its own. Nox arm might do something. The heavy legs are tempting as well. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the arm might get me a little more. Okay, so we do have some repairs to do this time around. I'm debating between heading to the village or kind of getting back into the thick of it. I think probably village, base, and then we'll have to figure out... I mean, there's a bunch of patrols and convoys and all of that, so they're not necessarily going to be sticking around. I forgot to contest the province. Good lord, I'm a dummy. I was wondering why the score wasn't going down. Something in the distance. One of your pilots shouts out to you. They've spotted something in the distance. When you look, you see what looks like a person tied with their hands behind them at the base of a tree. Approach. This is worth investigating. You come by a man who looks to be in bad shape. He's filthy and covered in painful-looking bruises. An enemy pilot tied up and abandoned. Wait, hey, I need help. Could be an ambush, boss, murmurs your scout. To the pilot, she asks, why'd they leave you here? Insubordination, he huffs. I want it out. A deserter? Call it whatever you want, says the pilot. Just give me a hand, won't you? So you can take them aboard, leave the deserter, or set them free. We will take a captive. We'll wait for repairs. And honestly, if you don't mind, like I said, I've not been feeling 100%. So while we get ready for the next fight, I am feeling quite foolish about not having contested the province for that last fight. But I would like to get just a small break, just to kind of clear my head. I should be able to still do the full run, but I probably about 45 minutes in, I definitely felt not great. So if you don't mind, I'd like a minute. Maybe I'll like refill my tea or something like that. But I could just use a second to, I don't know, shake the cobwebs out of my head and otherwise feel better. I will leave you with the fancy image of the brigade though. So the base comes alive with the sound of boots crashing against the floor. In the hangar, an engineer shouts his instructions to the crew, and a pilot rushes to get changed. You keep your eyes trained on the battle console, settling yourself with a deep breath. All right. So yeah, I'll run ads for a little bit. That means that if you need, get up, take a stretch, get a glass of water, do something other than look at the products, but got to pay the rent. So, but yeah, I'll try to be back within the next couple of minutes or so. It'll just be the time to like put the kettle on and just do a lap around the apartment or something like that. It's not going to be long, but I will see you all in a little bit. Alright, thank you everybody for being patient with me. Can't say the cobwebs have been worked out, but I'm feeling a little less foggy than I was. Alright. I am really starting to hoard a lot of weapons. Maybe at the end of I think at the end of this liberation we'll do a proper clean of our inventory. So like comparing something like this Elbrus, so looking at the arrow and the Nox would definitely be, that would kind of be my first priority. So I'm very intrigued by the fact that this arrow, well, it's probably the reactor that's doing it. No, this one's even lower though. Huh. So yeah, like I can see this Nox being a problem. The big problem here is it doesn't have a defensive module to help reduce the mass. Yeah, basically here I want to see, is there a number close to 28? If not, don't worry about it. I know I put a lot of effort towards getting these Vidar legs, so I'm probably not going to be replacing them. Do you have anything exciting arms-wise? Probably not. I mean, the Herald's has been getting a lot of the top-tier stuff right off the bat, so do a quick look at the Manticore. As always, we want to see is there... So we're at 20 here, so I do take note when I see something like this Nox. Now, I am intrigued by the fact that, like, 20.2 counts as a decrease. Now, that's pretty easy to explain. It's this is some fraction above 20 point, or it's like some fractional value between 0.2 or like 1/5 to 1/2 basically, because if it was higher than 1/2 then we would move up to 21. So something like this intrigues me, but again, if we look at it, all that we're really doing is giving up integrity and apparently a bit of power, but I guess that's because of the thruster. But yeah, like overall, this really doesn't excite me all that much. So there may be some possibility here with like this Nox. Like, so some of the other ones that I would want to take a look at would be ones with high integrity, where the mass isn't like appallingly high. Maybe we could do something like throw. So, like, we could probably throw an overdrive, and this Nox would be okay. But again, like 20 isn't the fastest that I've got for units. So I think we're gonna leave that be. I'm almost certain if it doesn't work on the Herald, it's not gonna work on the Manticore as well. So we're back to the hand-me-downs. Nothing too exciting there. May even be, like, now that we're starting to bulk this thing up, if you look, we've got... I mean, the torso could be better. Like, the right arm and the legs are actually pretty hardy, and we're still at 27. So this would be the point I would maybe consider refactoring this into a different type of mech, right? Like, this is the sort of thing that might be able to be transformed into a, melee unit, for instance. Now, there's a weight component to this. Like, I would need to worry about the, blade. But I don't feel like that's the hardest problem for us to deal with here. And again, like, there's definitely room for me to have some flexibility in terms of the build. But overall, I'm as happy as I'm going to get with that current loadout. Skinny legs. So I always want to be careful when I look at something like this. The plated is a nice perk to have, and the Heatsink Mark III is... So like this, you'll notice it makes my mobility, or my speed, like drop like a stone. But a large part of this is actually the heat... Well, there's two things, which is number one, this is a pretty skinny arm that I've got on it right now. But it's actually the heatsink that's dropping the power by 3. So if I were to ditch the heatsink, you wouldn't see that big of a speed reduction. The thing is, I don't want any speed reduction, because again, this is my slowest unit. Yeah, we'll keep the squad as is. Now we can start making some progress on liberating the province. Because I messed up on that one... Actually, I guess it's 2 fights. Anyways, I don't know if we'll liberate the province by the end of the stream, but I'll do my best. Commander, the base is circled around to the perimeter. We're ready to pick the squad up if needed. The enemy will hold the site if you do so. Careful, do not damage key careful, do not damage key civilian locations. We are here to protect them. Okay. So, as always, let's take a look at what we're up against. There's a fair number of them, so... We've got a mech with an assault rifle, a mech with a sniper rifle, a mech with a missile launcher. That's going to be a liability for the civilian locations as well. In fact, the placement for these structures is pretty hair-raising. I've got a shotgunner and... Oh god, a missile tank too. Okay, this is not going to be fun. So the first thing I want to do, I'm actually going to make it, I really need to let this unit, like, I just really need to make sure that the Vulcan, like, has their day, and as soon as possible. So I could be condemning them to some damage, based off of that, but like honestly, I want to, if I can, I want to come out strong with this one. Okay, so we've got a shotgunner which is kind of barreling down on my main units. Now, this gets a little tricky. So one thing I can try and do is move the Herald off to the side like so. Okay, that works. So the biggest thing I'm worried about is the fact that we've got a building that I need to protect. Okay, so we do that. I'm even able to get a quick shot in. Now we're going to try and go back to munching tanks. I would prefer to have a slightly more head-on attack with this unit, but I got to work with the parameters I've been given. It'd be great to try and get a hit on the missile tank, but that's just not on order for today. There's a small risk here that this tank won't be in position, and I'm, of course, pushing it over to the next turn, but we're outnumbered right now. The one thing that's nice is that we don't have enemy units... sorry, the enemy units, like, there's no reinforcements that we need to worry about. I'm not crazy about this, but... Ooh, yeah, especially given what he's shooting at. I don't like that much either. So the big problem I'm running into here is the Vulcans kind of in the way of any move I want to make with my machine gunner. Okay, I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. And I'm trying to preserve the option of protecting I'm trying to preserve the option of protecting this unit next turn. So let's see where this goes. That's a good start. This is more or less doing what it was intended to do, which is to just rain as much damage as possible on the enemy units, but we are in a tough spot in that it's all front-facing, so the concussive isn't going to be as fearsome as it could be. Sorry about your house, dude. Okay, so far no damage to the buildings I don't want damaged. So this thing's done. Now, shocking, I would have expected that this unit would have had a field day with the Vulcan. And they didn't. Now, I am a bit spooked about the sniper. In fact, I kind of just need to pray on this one, I think, because I don't think dashing is gonna do the trick. This is 455, so it can kill either of the arms in one go. That unit's coming in with the assault rifle. I don't think it matters what side I really do this on, so... So again, this is another case of me crossing over turns when it may not be a good idea, but there is some design behind this. Actually, it's better for me to aim here. I was originally going to go after the assault rifle, but it occurred to me that this is the better, or will be the better shot. So got to move that up a bit, but so after that I need to make sure that I move into a position where I can sort of make my next move. So this one is a bit concerning because I don't know what happens after I don't know what happens after. How many times does this thing fire? It looks like it's 2 shots, so we should be able to survive the one. Now, again, my preference would definitely be to like open fire with this thing, but we absolutely need to make sure that the sniper is neutralized first. The other thing I can do, so are there any missiles coming after me? Looks like there are. So my big priority here is going to be to take out the tank, but that's going to involve a little finesse. Yeah, so like I'm basically closing off the possibility of dashing in response to those missiles, and I don't like that option at all. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not at all excited by how I'm doing this turn, but oh lord, okay, and I'm right beside an important target too, so maybe I can change the way that I'm moving. Yeah, it'll have to do. I like that the Herald is sort of leading everyone on a merry chase, but I need to get them out of the danger zone a little bit if we wind up in an extended fight on this side of the map. Okay, so let's see how it goes. First question here is, does this dash actually pay off? We'll see what happened with the sniper after on the replay. Okay, I'll live with that. So this is why we're moving this unit, right? That's 2 sniper shots. Ah, I always miss on at least one. This is gonna get interesting. I definitely thought I had more time with those missiles. Okay, let's do the replay. Okay, actually looks like it connected. Interesting. Ooh, yeah. Alright, so first question. Who... Alright, so they're attacking my main unit here. Now that's not terrible, because that frees up my Vulcan to do other things. So they're going to be facing the shield towards... Alright, no, I've got an idea in terms of how I handle this. Maybe we'll move up a little bit, and we'll dash on top of the building. Oh, that's a pity. Okay. Okay, so there's some things that don't quite make this as good as it could be, but I'm gonna live with that. At this point, I kind of need to dash to safety. Actually, yeah, I'm still dashing to safety, but so I could be signing myself up for a face full of missiles again. Now, the real question is going to be, how do I effectively handle the sniper and the assault rifle? So first thing we do is stand and deliver for the rest of the machine gun. Now one option I have is just to barrel through the enemy like this. What's the weight difference between these two? Heavy and a heavy. I'm going to try and get away with some proper shenanigans here. Definitely taking some overheating damage on this, but overall I think it's worth it. Alright. I think we start with a grand escape on this side, so we'll try and capture a little bit of everything on the screen. Joshy man, how you doing tonight? Okay, so definitely some damage on my longbow, but nothing catastrophic. Not obvious we're safe from the missiles yet, to be completely honest. Right arm may go, which is that's the end of the greatest threat. Okay, so I gotta throw my shield up to protect myself from the sniper, but I'm also potentially gonna use that to bash into the enemy heavy. Nope, we're crashing. Presumably because our shield was facing elsewhere. That's actually going to be some fairly serious damage that we take off of that. So my point of safety will be if my marksman neutralizes the enemy unit. Sadly, that is a sidearm that went down. Yeah, so I think if I pointed my shield towards this unit, I would have been fine, but then I would have had sniper shots in the back. Overall, just that wasn't all that well thought out. So the one bit of good news out of that is that the threat of missiles, with the exception of this unit, but like the threat from the missile tank is neutralized. So I'm able to carve up the enemy team a little bit better. And how are you doing, Tikri? Okay. The real question is how quickly... Okay, I can't really get that thing up and running. So, I'm gonna wait for the end of the missile fire. And then we try to dash to safety. Not an exciting way to use the turn with that unit, but frankly it's the option that I've got. So here we just, I think at this point we continue to bully this unit. My best option right now is just to plow ahead. And the real question is, where do I want to direct my attention? I think in this case we're actually going to get the drop on this guy, even though obviously it's not... Actually, I'm wondering... So clearly we keep moving forward, but maybe then after we... well, the dash isn't really going to do all that much, is it? We'll see. Okay, so I definitely need to get out of the shotgun range. I, however, do not want to use an objective building as cover. So, like, what's the thing I would want to do the most? Basically, a move like this. Actually, that may work because this building will absorb the first bit of damage. But honestly, at this point, what I want to do is just take this sniper out once and for all. So got that, and then we're gonna run up the middle. Yeah, that's the turn. How on earth are both of those still crashing? That's actually a huge problem just because my legs are so damaged now. Yeah, I'm really not sure what to make of that, to be honest. Alright, in any case, I still have the same advantage that I had before, which is, I kind of get to pick the terms. Okay, so they're keeping their shield up. At this point, we just need to, like... It's like fighting siblings. We just need to go into separate rooms for a bit. So as a precaution, I am still going to put the shield up. Now, this missile is still up in the sky, but it's not clear that it's going to be menacing my units. This seems like a good opportunity to, well, can we dash it? I don't really think that brings us closer to a viable turn, so... So there's a little damage on one of our protected structures. There's not a lot that I can do about that, but I can definitely prevent further damage from occurring. So this is one of the reasons why you'll notice I was moving my unit like this. The problem here is that I make them target something that I don't want them to target. So in this case, I will just set myself up in a safe-ish spot. Like, I don't have too much to worry about this move. What I don't want to do, though, is move in such a way that I put a building I want to defend at risk. Oh man, they may actually suppress this unit the whole turn. I don't like that if that's the case. So you can do slightly better by moving forward. But I do need to worry about a bit of damage on the side here. I can't build the entire turn around protecting that unit, that building though, so. I can, however, move. Actually, it looks like both of my units want a piece of a piece of them. What do I do? Okay, so we move half the way, dash part of it, get ourselves set up. I kind of feel like I should be putting some more effort in this little little area here, but let's see if I lose my legs or not. That's a real shame. Yeah, I don't quite like how that missile's moving. Hopefully this is going to get us some heavy concussive damage. You got to play your Fallout RPG game for the first time in at least a month. Oh, that's great to hear, Cree. Yeah, actually, so again, I've got my primary focus right now, but I have started to carve out a bit of time for something that I've wanted to do for a very long time now, and haven't quite been able to deliver on. So I'm rather looking forward to being able to do that. Oh man, this is not good. Okay, so I think the best I can do is just dash as much as possible. I don't think I get away with a third though. Okay, so that's not an acceptable. It's not an acceptable defense. It's as good as I'm gonna get. My preference definitely would have been to focus on the unit firing missiles. But yeah, anyways, the good news is the thing that I have gotten a chance to catch up on will involve some videos. It's just a question in terms of how long it takes me to get them sort of up and running. So I can afford to do this. This is a shotgun unit, so I want to be careful about how they're moving. But if I stay put here and then run away, I don't need to worry about consequences. So let's see how this gong show plays out. Absolutely hopeless as far as concussive damage goes. We may be able to shoot the legs out from under them. Nice. Kind of wasted with this unit, though. Maybe not. Yep. Ooh. Nuts. We've got some possibilities here with this missile unit. Okay, so this unit's going to be holding up a shield. I'm a bit worried about the safety of this building, so I think I'm going to move this unit off to the side. Yeah, so it's 2 shotgun attacks against my... Actually, everybody hates this guy, so... So the question here is, can I get away with this shot? And still dash away in time? Theoretically, yes. I'm not entirely convinced that that's legit, but... We also have the possibility that we don't need to worry about this unit anymore, because we may be able to shoot its legs out from under it. Okay, I definitely want to get my machine gunner back in the fight, so... Obviously, I want to do so safely. I am a little worried that I'm going to wind up pointing my gun at something I shouldn't after this, but I want to try and get as much damage as I can in on the enemy. The faster I can finish with this, the faster I can start repairing the parts that I don't want to have to waste scrap on. God, this thing is really... Ah, there we go. Alright, so we don't need to worry about the missiles anymore. Obviously not the thing I want to bank on, and we are so close to taking this thing out. Unbelievable. That's the second time we've crashed over a tank like that. Okay, and this pilot's ejecting, so it's over. Ah, stop! Stop! Oh, God. I hope we didn't take too many points off of that objective. Okay. So this Valen's definitely an upgrade for us. Honestly, the rest of this, I think we just dismantle it. So we start with the torsos. Aftermath. Your pilots are in high spirits after a successful battle, and it cuts through their post-fight fatigue. Warm from their suits, they hang around outside the base, talking to civilians and enjoying some fresh air and festivities. Warm welcome, relieved that their homes are safe. The civilians are very happy with you. The Vulcan pilot is a little scarce. Okay, so we've got ooh, that really messes with my original plans. So, I think the best way for me to do this is kind of to base hop. So we're going to go back to cruise. We'll start moving towards this base as a start. I'd like to overdrive as quickly as I can. But obviously if I do that, none of the upgrades I want. God, do I do advanced assembly? I hate that I'm doing this, but yes, I am. I've kind of changed my mind about the original plan for that. So they're probably going to send reinforcements after me here. Nope. There we go. Sitting ducks. You're looking through the latest report when you hear one of your pilots laughing, calling to you from the front of the base. Look at this, your pilot says when you join him. They're sitting ducks. Sure enough, on the radar, you can see that there are some enemy mechs up ahead. I think they're gearing up to join the battle over there. He taps on the screen where there's a cluster of activity. We could get in before they know what hit them. Or get in quick. Okay, so I don't have too many expectations for this. This is really just impossible. That's got to be because of the reinforcements. Okay, so sniper rifle. I don't want to spend too much time looking over this stuff. I think this still does the trick. So the reinforced plate doesn't work, but this is definitely the better option, though. Oh, hang on. This is the wrong one, though. We need to keep hollow on it. But again, that's the left arm, so that's not as important. I don't think we're going to do any better for the legs. Yeah, so we'll leave the Herald as it is. I don't know if there's much to do with the Manticore, but... so I'm going to temporarily put a focused on this just to see how it compares torso-wise. Okay, interesting. This one. So I lose about 100 on the integrity, but I apparently get a little bit of speed out of this. So let's just see. So we're currently at 20. Oh, do I not have an overdrive to... Damn it. The Nox that I... See, I've equipped it all now, so it's... This looks like the one that it was supposed to be. So, if we throw the overdrive on this thing, it's 21, so that makes it faster. I do have a higher heat capacity as well, but I would much prefer the precision, which will come from... the old spare hybrids. Okay, that's a good start. So again, we're looking for speed on this one. Vanguard, you gotta head to bed. All right, have a good one. And I'm probably not too far off from that myself. We still have probably about 45 minutes left though, so. Yeah, so I think we're just going to keep the rest of that as is. So as before, the longbow kind of gets the hand-me-downs, but it doesn't hurt to take a look at alternatives. So this lock sniper rifle definitely looks like a big improvement over a lot of things that I've been working with. The only drawback here is that, like, it does a ton of damage, but it doesn't do any concussive, so I'm going to have to eventually make a decision on that one. Now, we did replace a torso, so I want a quick audit just to see if there's anything sufficiently interesting. Not really. I may change my mind. Don't want to change the legs if there's a better arm. Yeah, no better arm. Everything else makes me slower. But the protector's definitely getting at least one upgrade, and that's the Svalin shield. And it's lighter, amazingly. So even though this has got light plate, this is an absolute beast. Okay. That's cool, especially because I think we got some speed off of that, too. We got quite a bit of speed off of that. Okay. This can change a few other things as well. Again, I don't want to completely transform my my squad around this, but okay. So none of the legs do what they're supposed to. Now, again, it's not a completely fair comparison. These are medium legs. Oh wow! I just turned this into a medium mech. Okay, that's not good. I think the Elbrus legs are as good as I'm going to get here. I could theoretically throw hydraulics on. Yeah, but that turns me into a medium. So, get you a generator. I'm trying to decide if the heat capacity or the heat sink's better. I think probably the heat sink in this case. Unless I think maybe a... one of the sensors may be more appropriate. Unbelievable. I'm trying to make this thing heavier and I can't. Okay. Gotta bring this as close to 80 as I can. Oh, 82, sorry. I feel like there's better I can do here. So this thing's sporting hydraulics. This is a lot skinnier than I would want, but it does... Well, I don't know if it gets me enough. Okay, let's try that. Nox to that. Yeah, it's not worth it. All right. I just don't really like my other options here, so I kind of feel like I've messed this... I feel like I've messed this mech up, but I do like the... Like, the reason this thing exists is its shield, so... it's unfortunate that the other loadouts don't quite work. I mean, again, there's some tweaking that I can do, so if I did... God, how would I even handle this? You know, we won't even... We'll not worry about that. Go into the battle and see how it all performs. So this is one where I really want to make sure that the reinforcements don't show up. Otherwise, there's going to be hell to pay. Commander, the base is circled around the perimeter. We're ready to pick the squad up if needed. The enemy will hold the site if you do so. Now, one of the biggest obstacles to a quick win here is going to be the turrets. Command, rebel units have entered visual range. I'm outnumbered, requesting rapid response team ASAP. So let's just start by seeing... Okay, destroy the alarm tower to... Wow, okay. So, we have got our work cut out for us. We've got 4 turns to destroy that tower. And I don't believe that's going to affect the external reinforcements, so there's a few competing priorities here. So I'm curious, who does my best integrity damage? Or impact damage? Okay, clearly the Vulcan. Yeah, the burst doesn't do anything. Yeah, man, so I'm really stuck using this. Huh. It's like, this is a lot of units. Like, standing and fighting is not really how I'm gonna... Yeah, honestly, it's our behind enemy lines Vulcan. I mean, how else are we going to do it, right? Okay, so what are we fighting? We've got a tank with a cannon, 2 tanks with a cannon, and 1 with an autocannon. We've got a shotgun, okay, that sniper rifle is going to be something to worry about. Shotgun. So, okay, this is not as bad as it looks at the start. It's a lot of close range stuff except for the sniper. And honestly, these tanks, as long as I don't get... Like, there's definitely a way that I can wind up in a... Like, I can definitely wind up in a couple of sticky situations just because I'm not really paying attention to where I'm going. But I definitely see... I see some possibilities here. This isn't exactly one of them, but I might as well take advantage of the opportunity. I was originally doing this to try and target the tank, but like I said, I'm going to take the opportunities when they come up. Now I get 1 turn with this missile launcher not causing me problems. I don't even know if this is gonna... I think this is just gonna sign me up for hurt from that shotgun, to be honest. So, just decline to play by those rules. This is as close as I can get. Yeah, so this tower is gonna cause me no end of hurt, but... now... Oh, God. The real question is there anything actually in range? Not really, so I shouldn't be dashing there. The thing about this, ooh, yikes. Yeah, so the thing about this, marksman unit is that, the longbow, it, the amount of heat that it generates is, like, keeps it from really being the terror on the battlefield that I sort of want it to be. Okay, I mean, it's a starting unit. Sorry, it's a starting turn, right? It's not doing miracles, but it's at least setting me up for taking out the reinforcements. This didn't even take out the tank. Okay, so I should be able to get out of the range of the turret, which is good. Or do I? I bet there's going to be a missile on top of me by the end of this. Do a precautionary dash. Okay, what's the deal with the... I think still putting the... putting the emphasis on the Herald is... Or sorry, on the Sniper is still the right call here. There's a little bit of back and forth between the two of us, but we gotta... I mean, we gotta work with what we got, right? Now this probably puts me in... Yeah. So I'm gonna take the heat. And then Vamoose, because I do not want to be on the receiving end of the sniper fire. Now the beautiful thing here is there's so many units that have got their back facing me, but unfortunately I've tied up all my other units in other actions. Oh man. That's mean. Alright, it'll have to do. I'm not crazy about how that's turning out, but... Okay, at the very least, we're gonna suppress some of the reinforcements. Hello, Mr. Nuclear Monster. So we're almost shooting their legs out. I think the overheat here is going to be worth it. We did get the tank, which is good. We're definitely going to want to see the fate of those missiles. Oh, that's a thing of beauty. Okay, we're making some progress on the objective. So we're going to want to see the longbow fire, and then we want to see the protector escape. We're hitting it in the primary weapon, which is good. Well, the arm, but same thing. Oh, so close. And looks like we dodged the missiles. So that was a pretty good turn for us, I think. Sierra 2 on the field. What's taking so long here? Surround them and finish them off. I don't think that's actual reinforcements. Yeah, so we got the side objective, which is good. With a little luck, this unit's out of the match. Yeah, the problem is that it's a narrow, narrow path to me delivering on the attack. Well, there is actually a possibility here. So we vamoose for a little bit. I pop out of my hiding spot. That's an ideal range attack. Now, I could try and go a little bit further on the right, but I am ultimately being sort of suppressed by this tank. Which means, of course, I'm going to move into a position where I can sort of have my revenge. Okay, now, because we've dealt with the reinforcement tower, the external reinforcements may still be on their way. I need to start thinking about where I'm going to deploy my Vulcan. And again, it's not the fastest moving unit in the world. I don't think that's quite going to make sense. So I do have a small worry here. Which is that this tank turns around. Oh, this is a cannon, actually. Okay. You know what? I don't need to get fancy about this. We do the damage we can and run away when appropriate. I wish I was doing a little bit more with this unit, but actually I'm getting pretty darn close to a turret. This will create its own problems, but I don't hate it. So it seems to me like my best option here is to inconvenience the sniper more. Again, I'm crossing over into another turn doing this, but not too much. The real... So if this can take out the right arm, we're in a great shape. And if we don't, a lot of this is going to hinge on whether or not I can get the longbow in to start cleaning up some of the enemy units that are in inconvenient places. And it's like I wasn't even firing it. There we go. That's unfortunately the left arm, so that's not going to do much for me there. Right, pilot's concussed. That's a shame, so I may actually wind up... well, the tank's probably going to crash as a result, but... It's a little unlucky that it turned out the way that it did, just because it would be nice... it'd be nice if I could capture the sniper intact. Anyway, I don't need to get too fancy this turn. That's a perfect shot. Well, okay, so I have to go through the tower, but honestly, I'm not going to complain about the... Oh yeah, we didn't get to see the thing I was really looking for. Beautiful. So that frees up the longbow, so their first target's going to be the tank. At the very least we can crash the tank, but we should aspire for more. Or 2 more. Try and get a slightly better shot there. More importantly, that also gives us the freedom for the movement, which is equally important. Like, as you saw with the Manticore, it's one thing to be able to sort of like move around and, or sorry, it's one thing to be able to like get a, you know, line of sight on a unit, but being able to move around and like actually accomplish the things that you're setting out to do is equally important. So, there's a few different moves that I'd like to make, but I think I'm gonna redirect the Herald. I do find it kind of amazing that this thing's not being targeted by a turret, but... Now, I'm utterly amazed that this thing survived, but that's great for us. So, the reserve reinforcements, again, you don't see anything coming into the area because we already took out the side objectives. I think it's fair to say that, like, it's a tough call to say whether or not it was necessary for me to destroy the tower. Where was that tower? I guess it was here? Yeah, no, that makes sense. We just so effectively destroyed it, it's hard to tell. The reason why I say it's not entirely clear whether or not taking out the tower was worth it is, in the end, there's only one enemy unit left on the board here, right? And we took 2 turns where we could have been firing our Vulcan at an enemy unit. So who knows, right? And to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be doing that much damage to... I am going to wind up overheating a bit, but I prefer this because at least I'll be doing something, right? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's probably more appropriate I feel it's more appropriate to kind of secure the objective first, even if I don't need it. This will probably not help my scrap, but We have 3 turns before the enemy reinforcements show up, so I don't think it would hurt to take things a little more seriously. Okay. This feels more like I'm doing it because I can, but I don't know what I crashed on, but I'm mad I did. Okay, I'm very happy that we got that victory. I'm definitely going to need to get some repairs in. But yeah, I don't know what would have happened if the reinforcements showed up. Let's put it that way. So we also have some battery, which is good. If I need to slink away, I can. I'm curious if I can get all the colored stuff. I can. Okay, nice. So I think the next priority is any... I guess it's all 38s at this point. Still quite a bit. Cool. A token of appreciation. Thank you for all your help, Brigade, says a woman from the settlement. She brings out a cart full of scrap from her house. Sitting atop a stack of dented armor plating and military provisions is a container, its casing worn and aged. We've been scavenging around abandoned houses and invader facilities, she explains. However, we don't know what half of this stuff even is, but you can help yourself to whatever you want. It's the least we can do for you. Thanks again, Brigade, and good hunting. I think in this case we'll open it. I believe we already have a closed box in storage. And you've got mail. You give your scout the go-ahead to open the odd container. Inside is a large bundle of envelopes, the paper in surprisingly good condition. They are covered in postage stamps marked for addresses all over the country. I guess someone's missing their mail, murmurs the scout. But other than that, I don't think there's anything special about these. We can just leave them, I think. Is there a post office nearby? Asks your mechanic, crouching to take a look. If it's on the way, then we may as well hand it off. The scout shrugs. What do you say, Commander? Up for playing courier? We will deliver the mail. That's a little bit out of the way, but... Okay, now I'm curious as to whether or not we're going to be able to give the patrol the slip. Okay, so they're going to keep me at in range. Okay, so this is so I can repair. And basically we're hopping to the next outpost so that we can make it to the battle site. We're now at 100, so... There we go. Okay, so... If it's not clear what I was doing there, the first thing I wanted to do is I used my overdrive to get out of the range of the patrol so that I could repair my units. Now, maybe I didn't need to maybe I didn't need to outrun the patrol, but it gave me some breathing room. The one thing I didn't want to do was go too far away from the battle site, because I am actually going to be struggling to get to the home guard in time. But like I said, I would prefer to hop from sort of objective to objective so that I can make some progress on the liberation as well. So in this case here, I'm coming back with a fully equipped squad, or a fully repaired squad. That's really important. But I was also able to move towards the most important thing on the map right now. So it's definitely a far cry from what the strategic layer used to be. It's not... I don't think it's fair to call Phantom Brigade bad at any point. It's always been a really fun game to play, but what I really like in the 1.0 version is that I do sort of feel like I'm making slightly more meaningful decisions on the strategic map. As always, when you play a game in early access, there's the stuff that you kind of imagine, or maybe the things that if you had unlimited control over a game, things that you'd like to see inside of it. But the problem is, whenever I start thinking along those lines, I also recognize that most of the stuff I think is really cool in a game would never have been implemented because I never would have thought of it. So, you know, as with anything, there's usually room to imagine, oh yeah, they could have built this out, but the real way to think about those is, you know, what would have been given up in order to achieve the thing I was looking for. It's always kind of hard. Like, I've not really been looking at the forums for this game all that much recently. I'll take a look. One of the ones that comes up so frequently is the full replay. And I guess I think the one thing that drives me crazy is when I see like when I see the oh well, I've played Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. It's easy to add replay. It's like, I'm pretty sure the developers know about these other games, and I think they put a lot of effort into explaining why it's not comparable. But the other thing too is, right, like, unless you're a super fan like me, you're not always going to see that sort of stuff. So I get why it is that way. It's just I kind of wish that there was a better way for people to understand the trade-offs involved in certain decisions. And I mean, again, there wasn't any replay in the game originally, so maybe we'll be lucky and there will be a full replay implemented. You never know. Tango's looking a little tired. Okay, again, I'm pressed for time, so I don't want to spend too much time faffing about in the loadout screen, but I am interested in some of my alternatives. I don't think this heavy torso is going to do what it's supposed to. Interestingly enough, it's not as bad as this arrow, so... Oh, it's probably because of the Atlas thruster that's pulling back on that one. So a lot of stronger arms. Weirdly enough, the ones that keep me the fastest are downgrades. So like if they had defense, I could imagine doing it because the light armor would maybe help, but we'll keep the Nox as is. I don't know if the Manticore is going to have any improvements, but as always, we take a look. Yeah, the Atlas thruster's the killer on that one. This one is quite heavy, so yeah, I don't think there's a way of making that work. Light legs. Now this thing's got hydraulics, so I could theoretically throw hydraulics on this one. It's better integrity. This is almost certainly going to be... Okay, so... I do have a weight reduction Mark 1. How on earth... Oh, it's because of the composite. I am still going to equip this, though. Because I think... Yeah, you know what? It actually doesn't matter. I don't hate the idea of equipping this one. I do question its utility, though. Like, what am I ultimately accomplishing by reducing the integrity? And I mean, I can put the precision sensor on so I don't lose the power. Well, actually, okay, so the heatsink does have its own kind of sense because the Yeah, actually, this is the thing. I think I was saying that the fact that I need to wait so long between shots is actually a bit of a hindrance on this one. So, like, there is a way to make that work. I'm not going to try it now. However, I do wonder if there's an upgrade for the protector. So first of all, I'm kind of curious about maybe putting a shotgun on this guy now. Maybe not this shotgun, though. I'm wondering about maybe this torrent, though. Because I don't think the concussion is really doing it anymore. It's heavy, but we have a few ways of working around that. So I need to keep this thing above 82. Yeah, the thing is, all the other torsos just don't quite cut it. Okay, what about the legs? How did I get the great? Oh, right, because of the convoy that I smashed out. I don't hate this. It is kind of skinny for an arm, to be completely honest, but I'm trying to restore a bit of speed on this guy, so... Okay, it's as good as I'm gonna get right now, so let's see what we can do. It is a fantastic looking game, Mr. Nuclear Monster. It was a very long time in development, but it was so originally the company was Tetragon Works. I believe they were bought by Brace Yourself Games, and what's kind of cool is I believe the teams are so integrated now that like people who were working on Industries of Titan did some work on Phantom Brigade, and Phantom Brigade people went and did some work on Titan people went and worked on Phantom Brigade. Like, there is something very cool about the fact that Brace Yourself is structured in such a way that talent can move to the place that it's most needed. But on top of that, right, like to realize such a small team produced such a great looking game, that's pretty astonishing to me, to be completely honest. Okay, so we're in a similar situation to where we were before. Fortunately, it's easier to take out the alarm tower this time. So, again, it's not fun to give up a unit that way, but honestly, one turn of this is not gonna break the bank. Okay, so what else am I up against? 3 mechs, so 1 with a shotgun, 1 with an assault rifle, and 1 with a sniper rifle. So I may have to worry a little bit about the sniper, but this I've had scarier setups. And 2 cannon and 1 autocannon. Okay, so this may be one... It may actually be that the... I think the kind of narrow streets are going to work in my favor here. I want to be a little careful in terms of my movements and such, but... Oh. So originally I wanted to move off to the side, but I'm not going to be able to finish this shot if I do that, so... Okay. So that's a start. Maybe we focus down that unit? Nah, we'll spread it around. I'm not going to stand and take the shot, though, so we'll... Now, I'm potentially setting myself up for a pretty nasty retaliation, but it is nice to have kind of two units attacking the same point. So I'm going to stick with that. We are also going to have the Vulcan back in action, probably the turn after next turn, to be honest. But I think we can make them think a little bit. So let's see how this goes. That unit got a little more shaken up than I think it had to. Now this is great for me. I was hoping that they would actually be targeting my my Herald, because this gives me a chance to sort of run around and mess with the other units. I don't think I'm going to be able to deliver on another attack on the enemy unit, so we'll let nature take its course with the tower. The question is, where do I want the rest of the shots to go? Now, if I do that, I'm running the risk of getting hit by a turret. We'll see how it turns out. Wow, okay, so that's a lot of concussive damage that I took. What on earth is this thing packing? So I got a good shot on its left arm, but man, something really whopped Tango, so definitely want to be careful of that. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean I have to be useless. So I don't have that much to fear from the enemy unit, but I figure it doesn't hurt to have the protection up. Okay, let's see how this goes. We're so close to taking out its primary weapon. I'm not seeing the destruction animation. Come on! Not the other shoe. That's gotta count, though. Now, I have been pleasantly surprised by how good the concussion has been with the Herald. So that's going to be something for me to think about in future turns. What on earth? Alright, that's really going to complicate things. It's heavy shotgun, 523. Honestly, I'm just going to stand and deliver as far as the shots are concerned. I'm probably overcompensating now, but I don't like what I saw there. Okay, so I wasn't 100% sure what to do with this unit, but I think I've decided I want to blow him away with... Ah, that turret. Okay. There's no way that's going to work, is there? Alright, well, there's not much I can do about it, and I do need to make sure that this this tank isn't able to mess me up, so let's see what we can do with the Herald instead. That's a missile launcher, so I can't get too clever with that. I can, however, shoot the sniper in the back, so I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. I didn't want them to move this way. Oh, I did not check this at all. I'm going to knock my own unit out. Well, fortunately, that unit's ejecting. I think there's all sorts... Oh my god, no, they're gonna fire away. No, sorry, they're using their shield. That's fine. God, that was a mess. Where's my... Oh, right, there we go. So at this point, I really gotta wrap this thing up. So, zip around the edge and that can't possibly, yeah. Yeah, none of that's gonna work, so hopping up on the roof might work though. machine gun, so I don't have that much to fear from it. I don't like the fact that I'm kind of keeping this unit out of commission, but honestly, I don't know what's going on with it right now. I need to get a little more sanity in, especially if the reinforcements are coming in, because that's 6 units worth. So I'll live with this. We'll see where we are at the end of the turn. Okay, 2 turns to wrap this up. All right, I gotta get out there. I wanted to get fancy, but actually, the Herald is in reasonably good shape, health-wise. So the overheating damage will like be bad, but it won't be a killer. Okay, so that winds up being a barrier, so that's a non-starter. I guess it doesn't really matter though, because we're only going to get the 1 shot no matter what. This unit's only moving, which is good for me. Obviously, I want to be careful of the cannon. And to be honest, there's better damage that I could do, but at this point, it's really about getting what I can before the reinforcements show up. I wonder if I dash. No, that's going to cause problems. I gotta do what I can at this point. Okay, so last chance to make it count. Oh my god. This could turn out quite poorly for this unit. We basically got to throw the kitchen sink at this unit here. Actually, that second shot isn't as important because the shot will have the shot that's threatening the longbow will have already happened. There we go. All right, let's see how it goes. Saved. Now the question is whether or not we take him out before the reinforcements show up, because we're not doing nearly enough damage to that torso. Thank the maker. Yeah, six new hostile units on the field. Ooh, that was fun. All right. Not so good for scrap, but actually we got most of it. All right, what are we looking at here? Okay, really we just do any fight. But here's what we're gonna do. I'm at time, but I am gonna overdrive out of the detection range of my pursuers. They may catch up with me. Yeah. That's fine though. I just need to I need to be able to get my repairs in. We're definitely going to be able to make it to the battle site. Actually, you know what? It's just one more battle. Let's wrap it up. Troublemakers, your contact with the Home Guard said that while the Home Guard is busy with a battalion elsewhere, they don't have enough mechs on the ground to deal with this pesky fire team. We're on top of them now, an engineer shouts from the front of the base. What do you want to do, boss? A pilot asks. We're ready to fight if you are. So... heavier, but otherwise an upgrade. I'm really phoning it in on the changes, but it's just I'm kind of conscious of the time. I'm also assuming this one's probably not going to be the overwhelming force that we've sort of been going up against the last couple of times. Okay. That's interesting. Oh, right, no, because they're arrow legs, right. I think I'll stick with a turret, machine gun for a bit. Firewall, I mean, it's not a bad shield, but it's not really an improvement for us. Why would I want this? What's going on with these arrow legs? So I've got Elbrus. Well, then again, no, the generator. Man, this is weird. Well, no, okay, I guess it makes sense. Like heavy arrows are still heavier than Elbrus mediums, but it's just so weird to see like legs like this be better like across the board than. Okay, I don't see that arm improving things. Maybe this one? No. I have a lot of maintenance to do in okay, well, this still counts as an impossible mission. I'm assuming because of the reinforcements, but 5 units on the field with 2 home guard. Like, we actually outnumber them in this fight, so barring some kind of shenanigans in terms of proximity, I think we should be doing okay. What a persistent bunch. Command won't commit any more squads to this site, so let's get this over with. Seven turns. So if we don't fix this in 7 turns, there's 8 units that are going to pile on top of us. So we've got an elevated tank with an autocannon. We've got a tank with a machine gun, so that's a serious concern. The missile launcher is public enemy number 1, particularly with its concussive attacks. So if they start firing that at the longbow, I want to be prepared. That marksman's also going to be a pain. The beam I don't think is going to be as big of a deal. And yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit of stamina, so I'm not expecting a whole lot in terms of the concussive damage. Alright, so they're firing at me with a beam. Here's how I think I'm going to handle that. So I'm going to move up, get them in range. I believe the shield deflects the beam. They may have changed that, but... Now, the beam's not the scariest weapon that I'm up against. In fact, it may... Yeah, it's a heat-based weapon too, so... I definitely don't have that much to fear. Now, I'm mixed on my feelings about opening like this. The reason I'm mixed on the feelings is I am going to have to overheat to try and escape the missiles. But I think it's worth it. How much does the... I'm really not respecting the enemy abilities here. 600 I need to respect, right? That can kill my unit. Sorry, it can't kill my unit, but it can destroy any part. So maybe I want to try a different angle on this. I was hoping to try and take a shot at the machine gun tank, but that's clearly not it's not in the cards. Oh boy. I was hoping, well, hang on. There might be something here. So if I just stand like that. There's gotta be a way that I can turn that into friendly fire. There we go. Okay, so I'll let the marksman take care of the machine gun tank now. And now we take a look at the home guard. So I don't hate that it's going after this unit. I question whether or not it's going to be effective at this point. So maybe what we do is we dash... Maybe we don't even dash. Okay, what are you pointing at? Yeah, so not crazy about them firing missiles that are gonna hit the side of a mountain. Hill, whatever it is. And I think I'm gonna point those towards mechs. Okay, it's another missile launcher. Now this one's not actually firing anything. Feels like a bit of a waste. Not quite ready. Okay. I can live with that. Let's just double check that. Yeah, we don't have any collisions. So let's see how this goes. Oh, this thing's dead. I'm actually going to get a face full of autocannon. What on earth? Oh, nope. I see what happened. The rockets got me. Lost one unit. That's too many. Make sure that was the last casualty. Command will be hearing about this. Okay. That really sucks. I should have paid much closer attention to what was going on there. So, there's nothing else for this unit to do, so we'll move them back. This unit actually is not in all that bad a shape, but I do want to move them around and sort of change the priorities. Oh my god. I'm curious if I can get a second shot off in time. No, I can't. Okay, so won't even try. I will, however, pay attention to the marksman. I actually don't mind letting the AI do its thing. The only thing I want to make sure is that they are firing every turn that they can. Okay. Can't really stay where I am given where the marksman's shooting. God, the turn feels so empty without having the Vulcan to do anything, but... Clearly, I was not paying attention. How on earth did I let my protector just take, like, undefended hits like that? I should not have done the extra day. Or the extra turn. I'm clearly phoning this in. Okay. Tanks down. Oh god. Home guard is now a liability, so we're gonna move them straight out of the danger zone. Fortunately, that's a beam weapon, so that's not going to move the needle too much. Well, okay. One thing we can do to help them is not stay in danger. So this pilot's going to eject. Yeah, so we basically just pile on this guy. Why are you being so mean to this guy? He's surrendering. Obviously, I'm going to move my units out of the way. Okay, so that's not going to work. Sure we brought enough guys? Yeah, well, unless you can escape. So that was pretty sloppy, I've got to be honest, but we're not gonna, like, there's gonna be time to repair that kind of damage, but, like, I'm not expecting a whole lot of scrap either. So it's picking up the arrow in the Vulcan as it should, so that's 50 that we had to give up. We're still getting all the colored stuff. Yeah, so, like, there's some scrap that I'm missing out on here, but it is what it is. Province liberated. Thanks to your efforts, the enemy was driven out of the contested province. Resistance forces will hold it from here on out. I think this is a time to use the booze, to be honest. We've had a couple people who've been hit pretty hard, so. The invaders have slunk away with their tails between their legs, thanks to your decisive and bold maneuvers. Multiple messages come in from different officers in the Home Guard, grateful for your contributions. The radios are also jammed with messages of celebration that fly from town to town in the area, all happy to contribute to kicking the last of the invaders from these lands. A pilot approaches you, while others are distracted by the celebrations going on outside the base. Can we celebrate, boss, just for tonight? I think we earned it. So we're going to be sort of stuck in place for a while. At some point I want to deliver the mail, but honestly, like, we're going to have to do 2 provinces for that. Not going to worry about resupply. I think we'll actually be in fairly decent shape for that. To be honest, we actually don't need to repair that much either, so we'll head to Bjorn, liberate that as quickly as we can, and then we move to deliver the mail. And I suppose at that point we can decide whether or not we want to try our luck with the capital district, but that is a decision for a later time. It is still the 12th. Okay, let's see who is online tonight. Ah, neat. Okay, we've got a few people streaming it. So, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Mr. Nuclear Monster. Obviously I'm smaller than I was before, but... and Dendrian, thank you very much for that. Thank you. I didn't see you in chat before, so thank you for hanging out. For those of you who don't know Dendrian, they are a very talented broadcaster who does Graveyard Keeper and Against the Storm. Against the Storm will be returning on Monday. Fair enough. So, mine's not a headache, but I have sympathy. But yeah, I've noticed there's a few people who are playing Phantom Brigade. So I am going to raid Ulrich Kerensky. Normally I like to go for the smallest broadcaster for a game, but I'm the smallest broadcaster for a game. And I figure the Kerensky reference is likely a BattleTech one. It also seems like it says day 3, so they may have been playing this game. They may be a little bit earlier in the game. So again, thank you everybody for hanging out. I know it's been a while, well, a week. I will be back Friday for Book of Hours, which I've been really looking forward to returning to. But after that, Monday we will be back with Against the Storm, or that's the plan at least, and of course next week we will be doing some more Phantom Brigade. So I hope you all have a good evening. Actually, it just occurred to me it's going to need a few minutes before the raid loads up, so what else do I have to say? Hopefully I don't know. Hopefully I feel better for Friday. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. Treat Ulrich well. Oh yeah, the other disclaimer I should usually make is I don't know any of the people who I'm usually raiding, so obviously if they wind up being a jerk, I'm sorry. I have no way of telling ahead of time. But I expect that they will be fine. So anyways, have a good one. See ya.